And so we are again here. 17th is the day. We go into Mastermind. Surround yourself with people around you who think as you do. The composite mind will achieve the composite vision shared. Today's quote, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Now, Mastermind, you may have heard of it. It's got various definitions or slang surrounding it. Is essentially, to my mind, coined through Napoleon Hill, who found it in his research, where every person would surround themselves and be part of a group that shared the same vision or purpose. Now, some people have a mastermind group where they get together and they brainstorm, really, and they put out ideas, and the other group adds to it or subtracts to it or helps them out with that. And that's a mastermind group of and by itself, but it's a slightly different format than the one that Napoleon Hill was talking about. In that case, he was actually finding people that shared the same vision and purpose and were pushing that forward. Henry Ford, when he started Ford Motor, actually had this type of situation created. He was, Hill describes it in his book, where he was called in for somebody was slandering him in the press, and so he took him to court. The lawyer had him on the stand and was cross-examining him and asking these all sorts of arcane questions that most people wouldn't know. And finally, Ford got upset with this and basically called it to a halt by calling the lawyer's bluff. The lawyer was trying to show that he was uneducated and a bumpkin, and therefore that the comments being made and rendered in the press were actually accurate. Ford said that to the statement to the effect that, look, I don't have to know everything there is to know in order to run my company. He said, on my desk, I have a row of 14 buttons. At the end of those buttons lies an expert in that particular field. And when I have a question, I ring one of these buttons and I get the answer. And that's how I run the corporation. So that's a different type of mastermind. I'm not saying that any mastermind group has a particular form. If you would go to the closest things we have these days are in programming, the agile programming, where the form is actually in flux constantly. However, the point is to achieve a particular purpose, and they will subdivide and regroup and compare notes and stuff, and they will bounce off each other and create this product at the end of it. And agile programming is one of the most effective types of programming there is. The whole point I would bring up tonight is that Mastermind is actually brings to matter the point that an organization and its purpose are actually living things. Anything that has anything to do with humankind has a life to it. Everything. And that's a deep thought that takes us far beyond what we're talking here. The point I just wanted to tell you is that that's a datum, and you can take that to the bank. Practice it for yourself, test it for yourself. I'm not saying you have to accept everything I say is true. I'm saying don't accept anything I say is true. As valid, it's only as valid as you prove it to yourself. Mastermind, however, is an outgrowth in the logical cap to this entire scene. Where we've gone through this, the 14th point, they're all in logical sequence. They all bring from the low point up to the high point. The high point is organizing a group, an activity which will forward the purpose that you have. And as a shared purpose, it collects the power and the vitality of the group that's forwarding it. The exercises for today really just take this point. There's long steps that it's not worth going into it. It would take another 7 minutes just to read them all out and explain them. What you're actually building is an organizing chart so that you can actually figure out what functions you need to fill to achieve that purpose. You break it all down from your purpose to the sub-purposes, sub-functions that have to be done, figure out what has to be done in that, and then you can start assigning people, finding where you need help to actually activate that and get that running. And I tell you to do it as a very key part in your own, in forming your mastermind and getting your purpose achieved. There will be, I can tell you right now, before we hit the summary, I'm going to give you a bonus 15th step, which I've said from almost day one. And we'll cover that. It's not in the book. I'm going to add it in the next edition. But for tonight, study everything I've said. Prove it to yourself. Thanks.